What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Check the Kick. Sherdog.com is the website. I'm the host, Devin. We're doing something different this week. Live show. Only a couple people in the chat. If more people come in, shoot some stuff in there. Happy to bounce things off of you guys. We're going to talk about the UFC Seattle card. We're going to talk about this really amazing Apex event coming up this weekend. Headlined by Manal Kape and Asu Amabayev. There was some boxing on the weekend. I was on scoring duty, so I didn't pay full attention. I saw the Madrimov fight. That was a pretty cool kind of brawl towards the back end of that whole fight there. Sorry, I took a 2-week break. I did record a show last week, but the producer of the show unfortunately did not mention that they were on vacation, so I recorded a show and it didn't get published. So somewhere out there in the future, if we need to dig this up, so I can eat crow, it's out there. I was wrong about my Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong pick. However, the producer of the show, Ben Duffy, was actually spot on. He said Song Yadong was going to win a lackluster decision, and we're gonna hop straight into that. Song Yadong defeated Henry Cejudo via technical decision in the 4th round of the fight. However, we actually only got 3-round scorecards. Let's talk about the fight before we talk about the wonkiness. Henry Cejudo, I did not really realize that Henry Cejudo was going to be that much smaller than Song Yadong up until like the final the final face off after Henry weighed in and he broke the fortune cookie into the whole weird thing. But man, Song Yadong was significantly larger than Henry Cejudo. He seemed to be the faster guy. Henry's feints seemed to be doing pretty well. Henry Cejudo is still really impressive at 38 years old to keep up with these guys. Dirty Reg says he's all mouth. And Twain Willis, what's up, man? Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. I'm just the whole fortune cookie thing. I'm glad that didn't get more publicity than it needed to, because the whole thing was kind of weird. Henry Cejudo also said something else that was weird in the media this week that I'm not going to repeat. I think he was just joking around, but still weird look. I scored the 2nd round of the fight for Henry Cejudo. I believe he just did. When he could force Song on the back foot, like Henry had success. Like he's still really fast at 38 years old, with this kind of taekwondo in and out, back and forth stance, and he kind of keeps his hands low and he'll feint you to death. But Song was just, had the better accuracy, had the more volume, Henry Cejudo's really tough and durable at 38 too. Like he's only ever been finished once, I believe, by DJ, and that was a shot to the body. Like the dude's got a big head for his size. He, can take a ton of damage. Yeah, this fight, I don't want to say it was a lackluster fight, because the 3 rounds of the fight were kind of like a technical chess match striking, where Henry was kind of trying to feint Song Yadong and whoever. Typical MMA shit, though. Like whoever's on the front foot's winning the fight, and that's exactly how this fight was. When Song pushed Henry on the back foot, that's when Song had his success, and then vice versa. When Henry moved forward and Song was on the back foot, he had his success, and they kind of, not a ton of counter punching going on. Henry, his jab was working really well in the 2nd round, and that's why I scored the 2nd round for him. One of the judges out there scored the 3rd round for Henry. I'm live on YouTube, so I won't say the F word, but this whole debacle, it's what it is, and it was a cluster. We complain about this like every 2 or 3 weeks. I'll sit in this chair and bitch and moan about scoring or rules being enforced or some sort of, something weird, some weird officiating BS goes down. Like, okay, Henry got kicked in the balls once, and then it happened like again. and then he got poked in the eye, and then he got poked in the eye a second time, and it's like, okay, well, you know, if you're like driving a car and you purposely run someone over, like, you know, yeah, you did that purposely. But like if you're just driving a car blindfolded and running people over on the sidewalk, yeah, that's still negligent. And that's kind of where Song Yadong was here with that eye poke. We're like, dude, you got to be control of your weapons. A topic to potentially talk about is the new old gloves, where we've heard fighters say that the way that their hands get wrapped, they can't really close their fist. But then there was the knockout finish thing that like clearly the UFC knew about. So, what do you to pick your poison thing? Do you want more finishes and then also finishes like this, or do we want I don't know. Um, Henry can still clearly compete with the dudes in this division, but like he shouldn't be. I mean, moving forward, like both of them say they want to fight each other. Um, I appreciate what Henry did in the third round, even though it was kind of stupid and he should have just said he couldn't fight anymore. But he looked like he started to flag a little bit in the third round. And then there was like a minute and 20 seconds left, I believe, after the eye poke. Henry sat there and just like chilled for 5 minutes. We're like, hey, fighters, number one, fighters, teams, I'm going to answer you in a minute, Antoine. Like, know the rules of MMA. It boggles my mind how the fucking commentary, the athletic commissions don't even know the fucking rules, but like the fighters, you need to know the rules. The corners, their teams, they need to know the rules. They need to be very well versed in this, because his corner should have been screaming at him like, hey, dude, if you can't compete, and Henry should know, like, hey, this is a 5-round fight. If 3 rounds expire, then we go to the scorecards. After the third round, Henry uses the whole 5 minutes. He's literally just like sitting down, chilling. He's even like smiling and waving at the camera at one point, but clearly he said he couldn't see. Um, Anyone that says that he wanted a way out, like, I'm not going to sit here and spit off all of Henry's combat sports accolades, but like, if you're listening to this show right now, you know who Henry Cejudo is. Like, dude, this guy fought Demetrius Johnson twice. You think he's going to look for a way out again? No. Goes back to his corner. The last minute of the round, he, literally just ran from Song Yadong, goes back to the corner. He's like, I can't fucking see. I can't fucking see. Okay, fight stops. Jason Herzog was like running the show like this happens all the time. And I was a little bit confused because he was way more confident than I feel like he should have been. And it's weird for me to say that because it's like you want your you want the people that are officiating these fights to be extremely confident in their decisions. But this one was so freaking wonky that, like, how could you be so sure that was the right decision, Herzog? Yeah, he should know more than we do, but like, so he let the fourth round start, stopped the action, and then they went to the scorecards because they needed all 3 rounds to expire. That part's confusing because I was doing the live scoring. I submitted my scorecards for 3 rounds, but technically I should have submitted a scorecard for a 4th round. It would have been a 10-10. Wouldn't have changed the outcome of the fight, but like if we're starting a round in MMA, like they're starting a round, that's got to get scored, even if it goes for 1 second. It's got to get scored. Back to the point thing, because I sped past that because I was so hyper fixated on that. Dude, you got to take a point when someone is just not in control of their weapons. Like, if you're not fit to drive a car, then you shouldn't, that's how you get a speeding ticket. Like, hey, here's your warning. You get a ticket, you got to pay, whatever. Like, he didn't get nothing. He just got a slap on the wrist. Do I think Herzog is a good referee? Yeah, I think he's actually one of the better ones. The problem is MMA is such an obscure sport, and I feel like they are. I forget who it was. Was it? This is probably a Dan Miragliotta thing where he's like, "Don't make me get involved." And that's like the famous words from like, dude, no, you need to be fucking involved. Excuse me. See, I said the F word. You need to be involved. But you're officiating this, you got to be involved. That's what you're here to do. But yeah, I think he's a good ref. How did I feel about the prelims and the main card on paper? compared to what it was before, ass, but like how it played out, fucking awesome. I live in the state of Washington, so I was stoked. Like Ricky's, the whole card, the prelims, everything was dope. It's a pretty good card. Um, Alonzo Menafield and Julius Walker getting the fight of the night was really freaking head scratcher. Um, what do you do next with these dudes? Like Henry should just fight Jose Aldo. Um, that's it. Like that's just a fight that should happen. They can be a 5-round co-main event on any pay-per-view card. They can be the main event on any traveling fight night. Song Yadong, it's hard because he's fought a lot of people. Um, fought really everybody. They can either use him to give another guy in the rankings behind him a chance, or they can actually make that Umar Nurmagomedov fight now that Umar's coming off a loss. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. Middle segment of the show, I'm going to actually talk about all those crazy ass fights that Dana announced, but maybe he can fight the winner of Figgy and Sandhagen. If Figgy wins, maybe he can rematch Cheeto. There's a shit ton of options for him. Sean O'Malley is apparently going to be rematching Merab Dvalishvili. If that doesn't happen, maybe Song could fight Sean O'Malley. Song is kind of holding on to a golden ticket in a way. He's young. He's like the second best Chinese fighter on the roster. Unfortunately for him, the best Chinese fighter on the roster is probably one of the best women's fighters ever in Zhang Weili. But that still buys him a lot of promotional, if he was just another American dude, he might not get the same promotion. So him being where he's from, his age, he's going to still get a lot of, favorable fights. Do I think Henry would have beat Yan back in like Petroyan? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Henry's a really good fighter, but he's undersized, and Petroyan is a menace of a dude. Yeah, Petrion's real good. We're gonna move on. This fight we're gonna move on to? We're gonna move on to the co-main event. Anthony Hernandez, he defeated Brendan Allen in kind of a weird fight that like didn't need to happen. And I feel like it only happened because Brendan Allen wanted it to happen when he's the one that lost the first one. This fight went kind of like a lesser version of exactly what I expected. Fluffy drops the first round, but had a little bit of success in the first round, and then it became a fluffy fight for the second and third. This was a good performance by Fluffy, but like not a great one. Seeing as I'm just like never been super high on Brendan Allen, and I think I kind of figured him out finally after this fight, especially based on the statement that he made after the fight went down. But Fluffy did come out and say that, right in the post fight, he was like, I've been on antibiotics all week. I've been all effed up, so whatever. If that was his B game, I mean, not his B game, but if, like the famous Kamaru Usman, if he showed up at 30%, and if that's Fluffy at 75%, cool. Brendan Allen was a high ranked middleweight that kind of beat some dudes. Fluffy has a real tricky grappling game, but I think his best asset is just like his mentality. Like he hurt Brendan Allen in that third round with like a jab to the eye, and Brendan Allen thought it was a poke to actually stop the action. And then he comes back and hurts Fluffy right to the eye. Like it must have just, something like Henry Cejudo's eye, blasted in the eye with a knuckle. And then he kind of had to circle back. And then his ability to just like stay fucking dogged. Um, and yeah, this is exactly what I mean. Enswain, where he says, you know, did you see Alan's post on social media saying I'm not that guy? I can actually add these to the screen. Did you see Alan's post on social media saying I'm not that guy? Hope he doesn't retire young. And Hernandez is older than him. He still has time. Do I think he'd go down to what? No, I don't think he'd go to 170, and I think it'd be bad. I've just never been personally convinced on Brendan Allen. Like, and I realize that I think he can be like mentally broken in a way where, like, if it's not Brendan Allen's fight, like the one he wants to have, it's not going to be good for him. Like when he's having his fight and things are going his way, he's going to beat the Andre Munizes and the Paul Craigs. But when he gets pushed back against the guys like, you know, Chris Curtis or Sean Strickland or Anthony Hernandez, like clearly by his post-fight statement where like, I don't think I'm that guy. I think he has those thoughts in the fight too. I don't think he has high fight IQ. And there were moments in this fight where Anthony Hernandez, like, dude, you could just gain control, but like he kept going for these like high back takes where Brendan Allen would shake him off because Brendan Allen, his thing is grappling. He's a good grappler. He's just not better one than Fluffy. And in moment in scrambling exchanges, Fluffy is making higher IQ decisions. He just seems to be a step ahead. But Brendan Allen seems to. He doesn't physically wilt, but I just think he kind of mentally wilts a little bit. Where in that Nasruddin Imavov fight, like first round was going all his way. The second he couldn't get the takedowns on Imavov, like fight was over for Brendan Allen in his head. The fight just changed. He doesn't have like a plan B he can go to. He doesn't have that like, I don't know. I don't want to call a fighter. I don't want to say he doesn't have that dog in him because he does. Like when it's look at his Chris Curtis fight, but he really struggled through that fight. There are fights where he could potentially win with his striking, but it's like he wants to have a grappling match with every person he fights, and if it doesn't go his way, it doesn't go his way. Fluffy again looked good, and if this was a 5-round fight, it seemed to be a snowball. Like, and that Fluffy should only take 5-round fights. For him, with his antibiotic issue and all that shit he had going on, this is a 3-rounder is probably best for him. However, a little bit of red Solo Cup, it's just water. 3 rounds, Fluffy off antibiotics. This is probably fine for him, but I think he needs to just like keep trying to pick a fight. He needs to try to pick a fight with like Kaya Bahayo or Nasruddin Imavov. It's more like Kaya Bahayo's best win is Jared Cannonier, and that's a damn good win, but I think that's a good fight to make. Or maybe Fluffy can welcome the returning Robert Whitaker. If I was Robert Whitaker, I mean, what's he going to do? Say no? He's going to run out of options. He hasn't won the most fights lately. Sean Strickland ain't going to take an Anthony Hernandez fight. Nah. He just wants to like probably fight like another striker dude, but maybe he does. I just don't think it's going to happen for a while. Give me Fluffy versus Robert Whitaker. I think that'd probably be the most fun. We're going to move on to my star of the card, Gene Silva, Lord Gene Silva. He I mean, whatever moniker he wants, he can kind of call himself now. Freaking Gene Silva, man. Like he's out here, even in like even at the weigh-ins, the non-official weigh-ins where they do the standoffs and the face-offs and shit on Friday, like he's like taking his time up to the scale. He's dancing. He listens to wonky music. Melsik Bagdasaryan is like a dangerous kickboxer that's like venomously fast with his kicks and power. And Gene Silva like could have and should have just gone out there and like immediately started shooting takedowns and just like out wrestling this dude, because he probably could have just done that. But now Gene Silva just like has Melsik Bagdasaryan's perfect fight with him and still fucking knocks him dead. Gene Silva's just incredible. He is like, if you combined Yoel Romero's athleticism and just Anderson Silva's like vision and tricky setups and like counter punching and ability to just like hit you with a laser beam and then fucking finish you off. He's really an incredible talent. That left hook right hand that he dropped Bagdasaryan with, and then he kind of like is like, Kevin McDonald, do you want me to finish this guy? And he's like, yeah, you need to get in there and finish him. So he hits him with like a bunch of 12-6 elbows to the ribs, like 5 or 6 of them. And then he comes over with one to the top, boom, and then, hits him with one on the temple as Kevin McDonald is like sliding in. And it's like, shout out to Gene Silva for being like, I don't really want to hurt this dude. Like, stop this, and I'll just crush his body. It's like, oh, so you gave him a concussion, now you're gonna make him piss blood. He was never in trouble, remained extremely confident. Melsik Bagdasaryan was whipping incredibly. Melsik Bagdasaryan, like, he's not great, but he's a damn good kickboxer, and he's a fucking athletic freak. Like, he himself is fast as shit. Like, he's got really fast hands, good power, and really, like, he's one of the better kickers, like, in that division. He's got, like, like Giga Chikadze type kicks, like incredible kicks. And Silva just sliced through him like it was just, he's smiling in there, dapping him up. Melsik throws like this really speedy question mark kick, and Gene Silva just bobs out of the way in the last moment. And he's like, that was a really nice kick, man. Like, I liked your technique. And he's like slapping him up, telling him good job. And then 10 seconds later, he's like bouncing elbows off the dude's temple. It's just really fucking cool. Not a lot of fight to talk about. He got 50 G's for that, as he should. He made weight, no issues. He had weight issues before. I mean, he's fought up on short notice at 155. This is his time to make this run. He spoke about fighting Bryce Mitchell. I think that's perfectly fine. I think another fight for him. There's a guy in the rankings that I don't want to call wrongfully ranked, but I think he may be a little higher ranked than he should be. And I think after his last performance and Gene Silva, the way that the fans feel about these two guys, Gene Silva's fighting nerds in general got a lot of juice right now. I think they should match Gene Silva versus Yusuf Zalal. Yusuf Zalal can't do what you did to Calvin Kattar against Gene Silva. And if you can, cool, man, then you deserve your ranking. If not, Calvin Kattar gave you a chance. Now it's your time to give someone a chance, or give him Bryce Mitchell. But I think those are the two best matchups for him. Melsik Bagdasaryan, he can just fight anyone. He doesn't fight often. He did change camps for this fight too, so he did at least he's doing things right. He's getting away from Glendale, and the head movement guys over there. So that's good for him, but he could just fight anybody. That whole card was really awesome. We'll just chat about the rest of that card. If anyone has questions about anything or want to speak about any other fights, shoot them in there. Rob Font beat Gene Matsumoto. He hit him with that super dope step and elbow. That should have won fight of the night, in my opinion. Iwan Kutilaba fought like a veteran. Dude literally fought like a veteran. He went out there and beat Ibo Aslan. He was the underdog. He learned English. He's calling out Khalil Roundtree. I don't think he'll get it. But that was a fun fight. Melky Costa slapped on a really slick guillotine on Andre Fili and was kind of outstriking him on the back foot. Like, his front foot boxing, like, it was one combination where he pressed forward, and maybe it was a one-off where it didn't look great. But he kind of was just like on the back foot, being bigger and also like faster and piecing up Fili. I was actually surprised. I'll admit, I was kind of talking shit a little bit in the Sherdog Slack. I was like, hey, why the hell is Melky Costa like a big favorite over Andre Fili? Well, that's why. I mean, the look on his face, he was so calm slapping on that guillotine. He like slapped it on, stayed on, readjusted it, and Fili was done. Mansour Abdul Malik knocked out Nick Klein after almost dying himself. That was an interesting fight. That could have gotten, never mind. Honestly, I think the most like impressive performance on the card, hands down, was Ricky Simone coming back after multiple losses and like deading Javid Bashra, who was a favorite, who was kind of highly touted a little bit ago. And now he's got 2 losses, and this one was bad. I mean, there was, after this fight, Javid was just knocked out with his eyes open. And I don't recall seeing this in some time where he's just like completely unconscious on his back and his eyes are all like moving around while he's, I mean, his eyes are there. Javid's not home. Ricky Smoke just deaded him with a beautiful combination. Austin Vanderford had a really good finish. Veresenikov probably headed back to Texas in the LFA, homie, because like you're coming off of 2 losses and you literally threw a temper tantrum after your fight. Nursultan Rizaboev beat Mechanico on short notice. And then, you know, honestly, dude, shout out to Modestas Bukauskas, because this guy like washed out of the UFC after Khalil Roundtree literally folded his leg in half the wrong way. Go look that up after this. Like that that step in kick that he, you know, to Modestas' knee, and then Modestas took some time off, repaired his knee, went to Cage Warriors, won a belt, and is on like a good ass streak in the UFC, and is probably going to be like knocking on the doors of the top 15 at light heavyweight. I know, that's crazy. That was UFC Seattle. It was actually a really good fight card. The end of the fight card ended in such a piss poor way that I've seen like 10 videos of like random fan brawls in the UFC. In Seattle, in their arena there. So, and like it was 3 p.m. and like the arena's full. The UFC should come back to Seattle, come back to Washington more. Do like a Boise, Idaho card. They're traveling a ton. Boise's a dope city if you guys have never been there. I promise you, Boise's cool. Go back to Seattle. Go to Boise. Come back out to the Northwest. We're going to move on to the middle segment of the show, What's Hot. We're going to talk about a bunch of fight announcements that Dana screamed into his cell phone, you know, doing his whole thing with his I hate power slap, but like he was pulling one of these with the power slap blue solo cup. I low-key want a power slap cup. Because I think that'd be funny. I would drink it on here like Dana. He unleashed a horde of fight announcements, and then a shit ton more since then. This year could be pretty damn good. I mean, we just got the announcement of Davison Figueiredo and Corey Sandhagen. That should be an absolutely incredible fight at men's bantamweight. That fight will be taking place on May 3rd in Des Moines, Iowa. So they're in Des Moines. Like, that's a really, really cool ass fight. Ilia Topuria is apparently no longer the men's featherweight champion. He's relinquished the belt. Diego Lopez came out and said the UFC told him that they don't want double champs anymore. Apparently Dana or someone from the UFC has come out and said, no, that's not right. That should tell you the shit that the UFC probably tells the fighters behind closed doors. The question that matters is, who is your favorite host? I don't know why I read that like that. Keith, Ben, one of you guys forgot to tell me they're going out of town. Ben, I like you guys equally. Diego Lopez is fighting Volk for the vacant men's featherweight title. Thank God it's not the vacant women's featherweight title we're watching anymore. It's going to be in Miami on April 12th, my hometown. I'm from Miami. Um, I can't believe this is happening. Um, I saw some pictures of Taporia where his manager says he walks around like at 187 to like 190, where he looked big as fuck, but he's like 5'7". He's big. He punches hard. I mean, he's gonna be fine at 155. Um, but like he did that without a guaranteed title fight, which I think is a little bit crazy because if Dan Hooker and Justin Gaethje go to absolute war and Gaethje like wins, or they go to war for 2 or 3 rounds and then Gaethje crushes Hooker with, finishes him. Islam's already got a win over Hooker, but like he's never fought Gaethje. And the UFC would probably be quick to put that together, especially if Gaethje's like, hey, I got 2 more fights in me and one of them's for this title. He's already fought for a title. Ilia Toporia's got damn good accolades, but so does Justin Gaethje. And I'm a huge Ilia Topuria stan. But Justin Gaethje's got a better highlight reel. I hate to say it, and there's more. Toporia's got a bunch of incredible knockouts. Gaethje's like whole fights are all highlight reel. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting for Topuria to just relinquish the belt and say, "I'm just going to go to 155." Poor Max Holloway. This dude is like fucking Michael Myers. Anywhere Jason, anywhere you turn, this dude's still showing up. Can't kill this guy. And Diego Lopez gets the shot over Movsar, who kind of rightfully should be getting the shot. And just beat Aljamain Sterling, but no, I mean. Diego Lopez is on a decent run, and he's got that. He's got that Brian Ortega win. That doesn't mean too much, but whatever. This could be a potentially dangerous fight for Volk. He's getting old, and man, if Volk can reclaim the title, yeah, there'll be like some sort of asterisk, like yeah, whatever. You got nuked, you lost your title, but that guy left. So if you're he doesn't care if he gets championship pay. It's Volk, man. Everyone loves Volk. May 10th, the UFC's back in Montreal. Shevchenko is taking on Manon Fiorot. I'm surprised they didn't do the Zhang Weili fight. Maybe Zhang wasn't going to be ready. Visa stuff, I don't know. I really don't know. Travel issues. I'm all for meritocracy when it comes to matchmaking in the UFC. But at the same time, I don't give a shit about Manon Fiorot and Valentina Shevchenko. I give a shit about Zhang Weili and Valentina Shevchenko. But whatever, meritocracy wins this time. I guess that's fine. One of my favorite fighters on the roster is also fighting on May 10th. They're going to headline that card. Bilal Muhammad is taking on JDM, Jack Della Maddalena. That's going to be a really incredible fight at welterweight. It seemed like we were supposed to get JDM versus Leon Edwards, which we'll talk about. But I guess they, shifted things around, and Bilal Muhammad's taking on JDM. That's going to be a really good fucking fight. I don't know why people hate on Bilal Muhammad. I know why they did, because I used to. But no, Bilal Muhammad is a good fighter. He's really well schooled. He comes from a really good team, but he himself is really good, and he's like one of the best game planners in MMA ever. He's really, really good. Just a chameleon of a fighter. He can kind of do almost everything. Patricio Pitbull debuting in the UFC. He's fighting Yair Rodriguez on April 12th. That's also in Miami. A fucking banger of a fight. I think they're trying to put something together here where if on the same card, if, number one, it's a great opportunity for a backup. Number two, if Pitbull goes out there and kills Yair Rodriguez, then he can say, give me my title fight. And the UFC would probably do it. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. Yair might kick his freaking head off. Yair might not even make it to the fight. I don't know. That's also a really, really cool fight. The fight I'm probably most excited for out of all of these is the Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett announcement. That's also going to be in Miami. It's a 5 rounder co-main event. That's a good ass fight. Patty has like continuously proved me wrong, and you know, he's huge, he can grapple, he's tough enough. Like he may have a lot of success over Michael Chandler, and Michael Chandler is coming off of a he looked like shit against Charles Oliveira. I don't know if Charles Oliveira looked amazing, but like he got out wrestled badly, and like Patty might be able to do the same thing. That's going to be a really, really cool fight. That's in Michael Chandler's backyard, kind of in a way. You know, he trains down in South Florida. I do believe he lives in Tennessee, though. And then for Patty, like, dude, um, Miami has some of the best food in this country, in the world. Like, go find some Cuban cuisine, win, lose, or draw. Like, go get really fat eating like ham croquetas and Cuban sandwiches and empanadas and all that shit. Um, last fight announcement we're going to talk about. This is the main event for March 22nd card in the UK. We have Leon Edwards taking on Sean Brady. Poor Leon Edwards just gets hit with tons of the wrestlers, but should kind of tell you guys and Leon and everyone where the UFC kind of stands with him. I think it should be a cool fight though. I'm a little bit surprised we're not getting any Tom Aspinall action, but maybe we'll find out in the future. This seems to just be like a fight night anyway. But yeah, maybe Sean Brady can earn himself a rematch. Like he's his only loss is against Bilal Muhammad, and everyone calls him Pillow Hands Bilal, blah blah blah. But like, he's gonna keep beating dudes, and y'all are gonna keep being fucking pissed about it. Pitbull versus Yair is such a massive storyline. Do you think Pitbull can make a run for the belt at 30? No, maybe. I mean, well, with Taporia gone, yeah, and Max Holloway gone, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he can. And the reason why he can make a run is because if he wins one fight, he can fight for the title. Especially if he goes out there. I think the best chance for him to fight for a title would be something like here's how I think this could play out in my head, where if Alexander Volkanovski wins his fight against Diego Lopez, it's not going to be like in the first or second round. It's going to be after probably taking some damage and then, just beating him on the scorecards over a 5-round decision where he kind of just out maestros him. But if Diego Lopez beats Volk, he's probably gonna knock him out like in the first round or something. Because Diego Lopez is like an absolute bolt of lightning in the first 5 minutes of every fight he's in. He's one of the better first round fighters in the UFC. So what I think could potentially happen would be like if Pitbull smokes Yair and then Diego Lopez smokes Volk, and then in like 4 months they can put them as a co-main. I think something like that could happen. But yeah, I mean, even if Volk wins and Pitbull wins a kind of lackluster decision against Yair, which I don't think is likely, he could still be just one more fight away. Supposedly the UFC offered him Aljo and Aljo turned it down, which I think is a little bit strange and weird. Like that's a good fight for Aljo. But yeah, I mean, with Max and Ilya Topuria gone, Volkanovski is probably like the greatest featherweight ever. Even though it's hard to say that after we watched him just kind of get smoked, but he's not going to last forever, and he's an older guy. In my opinion, with Max and Topuria gone, he's definitely the best 145er on the roster, but like, I don't know, Gene Silva's there too, man. Do you think Yair can get another title shot as well? He's only 32. Nah, I don't think so. I think he can, he's won the interim against Josh Emmett. That was a really cool fight. But no, I don't think so. But maybe like if Diego Lopez wins, Yeah, but probably not. All right, we're gonna move on. Final segment of the show, and with the new, we're gonna talk about this upcoming UFC card. Um, and I only picked out two fights to talk about because this card is I mean, the co-main event is Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez, and like Cody Brundage is like how many DQ wins does this dude have? Like that's like a percentage of his UFC wins, and Julian Marquez hasn't fought in forever, and he's 9-5. Um, the Nasrat Haqparast fight and the Esteban Ribovics fight is a good fight. Hyder Emil is good. I don't like watching William Gomes very much. This was supposed to be This was supposed to be Brandon Royval, but he pulled out a couple weeks ago due to injury. The Chepe Mariscal fight versus Ricardo Ramos should be that should be pretty good. Douglas Silva de Andrade and John Castaneda should be good. But we're gonna start all the way down at the curtain jerker because we're gonna talk about men's flyweight today, a division that needs more love. I guess I'll answer this question really quick. Also, on a second side note, is Ilya one of the greatest featherweights of all time, even given his short reign? Um, Could the Ilya Topuria that fought Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski beat any featherweight UFC or WEC or any other organ? Probably, honestly, probably. Is he the greatest ever? I just don't think he accomplished enough. But like he's sitting at the table. I mean, you knocked out Volkan, you knocked out Max back to back. So yeah, he's for sure. Um, can you put him over Jose Aldo? No. Would a prime Ilya Taporia beat a prime Jose Aldo? Probably knock him out. I don't even count Connor. Yeah, maybe. Um, so we're going to talk about curtain jerker. I don't know. Again, I don't know why this fight is a curtain jerker. We got Charles Johnson taking on Ramazan Bek Temirov. I kind of did my little bit of tape study and did my little bit of research on these guys as I always do before the shows, and uh, I'm like, why the hell is Charles Johnson the underdog here? It's a real close line, and I'm recording. This is Monday night here. Um, there's no way this shit's gonna. He's not gonna close as a dog here, but Charles Johnson's an underdog in this fight. He's a plus 105 dog. Ramazan Temirov, he's coming back at minus 125, so real slight favorite. And again, I don't think Charles Johnson will close as a dog here. Um, Charles Johnson is a dude that kind of came to the UFC with one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen, with the like fur patch mullet that was like literally looking like tree moss. Um, and he lost his debut against Muhammad Makayev. Turns out that's not a bad loss. After that, he did beat Zaga Zumagulov. He defeated Jimmy Flick, and he went on a 3-round loss streak where he lost to Ode Osborne in a split decision that he probably should have won. Lost to Cody Durden, not a bad loss, and then lost to Rafael Esteban, not a terrible loss. But since then, he's gone on a 4-fight win streak where he's coming off of that Azat Maxim fight. Like Maxim was undefeated. Jake Hadley fight. Jake Hadley's pretty good, even though he's no longer in the UFC. Joshua Van, that 3rd-round knockout where judges didn't have him down on the scorecards, but I think most people watching had him down on the scorecards. However, like it was real close. Fucking knocked out Joshua Van in the 3rd round in a Joshua Van fight. Really impressive performance. Like if that's going to be the best thing he does in his UFC career, it's a pretty fucking cool fight. And then last time out, he kind of went to war Sumaderji where he dropped him, almost finished him. Temirov himself, he's no longer a UFC newcomer. Another Uzbeki fighter. They're kind of coming around. We got Nursultan Ruzaboev. His brother was almost a UFC fighter this past weekend, but that fight didn't happen. Temirov is coming off of just as one UFC performance where he knocked out CJ Vergara. That was I just don't know why he's the favorite here. Um, he, like he hasn't lost the fight since 2019, and he's only got 3 losses on his record. He's been fighting since 2015. He's got a shit ton of knockouts on his record. The guys that he's fought, though, like you go look at their records and they're kind of, you know, Emperor Fighting Championship and stuff like that. Like there's a difference. Yeah, he's got his 3 fights in Ryzen where he won them by knockout. Sorry, 2. And he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight finish streak. The CJ Vergara was like very undersized. He's like one of the smaller flyweights on the roster. And Temerov went out there, and CJ Vergara's been tough. He's been hurt in fights. You remember when he was hurt in the one fight where he's running around the cage, Chelsea Chandler style? He was the first runner, by the way. Someone should edit the clip of him and like Chelsea Chandler running in the octagon. That'd be funny. If you can do that and you're listening to this, please do it and send it to me. But no, he got knocked out by Temerov. CJ Vergara did, and Temerov's striking is very like he's a very I'm just gonna go put it on you type fighter. Like he's fucking huge for the division. He's a real good athlete. He's got real big power. But like Charles Johnson's gonna be the best dude he's ever fought by far. And I just, Temerov is such a giant battering ram that like he's gonna blow the doors off of a fuck ton of people. But I just don't think Charles Johnson's that dude. Charles Johnson is a crafty boxer. He does a lot of shoulder rolling and stuff like that, but he is a pretty responsible defensively. He's got pretty good wrestling, and he can be taken down. Muhammad Makayev took him down, but that's Muhammad Makayev's going to take down everybody. I just think he's like the way more crafty pocket boxer, and like the first 5 or 6 exchanges with Temerov where they like meet in the pocket and kind of like both throw down are going to be a little bit sketch. But after that, I mean, the shit could look real similar to that Joshua Van fight, but like Joshua Van is 20 times more crafty than Temerov. Temerov is larger, but like they're both just like big pocket power punchers. But Temerov is not a clean striker. I could see he could hurt Charles Johnson in this fight. Like if he just goes for it, Charles Johnson can be there to be hit. He has sometimes watched his work in the pocket, but I don't think Temerov is like a crafty enough dude to like, feint Charles Johnson to the back of the cage, draw a big hook out of him, and then, slip it and return with something of his own. Like, I don't think he's that type of, striker. I think he's much more of a, move forward and just, swing some hams at you. Give me Charles Johnson to win a decision, but I could see him getting like another 3rd round finish here because a dude that's built like Temerov that doesn't get the knockout in the first, 10 minutes of this fight, 12 minutes of this fight. Like if we're in the 3rd round and he's getting tired and Charles Johnson's landing combos, like he's got power. Ask Joshua Van. His power can carry through the whole fight. So give me Charles Johnson to win this fight, win a decision here, but maybe get a late stoppage. Maybe. Final fight we're going to talk about. This is a fight that was put together on short notice. Asil Mabayev is taking on Manal Kopp. Let me give you the odds real quick. Manal Kopp is a -215 favorite. Asil Mabayev is like a +180 dog. I don't know if I love those odds because I don't like always trust Manal Kopp. Manal Kopp just had the Muhammad Makayev fight where like he did not exchange at all because he knew Muhammad Makayev would take him down potentially. But then like in the Bruno Silva fight, he just ran through Bruno Silva. When Manal Kopp is being Manal Kopp, much like Brendan Allen in a way, like when he's like doing his thing and grooving, Like the dude could shock anyone on the feet. Like he's so fast, he hits so hard. He's got such a variety of attacks. He's got like top 1% athleticism. Like his ability to like jump. The dude's like 5'4". I'm not kidding. Like let me see if do we have the stats for this dude here? He's 5'6". I think that's generous. Generous. I'm gonna say he's 5'5". The dude's like he's 5.5 feet tall, and he can throw like a jumping switch kick, like a jumping switch knee and cover like 10 feet. Like he's an incredible athlete. Really explosive power, good boxing, good knees, good diversity with his attacks, a really good feinting game. But he's also like a young veteran in a way where if he's not getting hurt, then he kind of just like thinks he's winning automatically. Another Brendan Allen thing, thinking they're just always winning the fight. But we've seen him have like real lackluster fights, like that Muhammad Makayev fight. Like that fight was so bad, Muhammad Makayev won and got kicked out of the UFC. Like that should tell you how shitty the fight was. The Felipe dos Santos fight was like probably one of his more fun fights in the UFC, where Felipe dos Santos took that fight on short notice and really didn't deserve it, and kind of like hung with Manal Cop, lost most of the exchanges, but he was willing to punch with him in the pocket and hurt him. Bruno Silva tried that and got effed up. The Zaga Zumagulov fight, he knocked him out. The Ode Osborne fight, that jump knee, like that's what I'm talking about. He came to the UFC and he immediately got Pantoja and lost that decision, and then he lost to Nicolau. Also, Mabayev, he is a dude that he himself is coming off of a stinker to Nicolau. Before that, he defeated Jose Johnson, who's like the hugest flyweight ever. Think he missed weight in that one too. And he's also defeated CJ Vergara. Both of these guys have finished wins over Ode Osborne. That was his UFC debut. Both of these guys have good like regional MMA experience, like outside of the UFC as well. Like Asim Mabayev's got a ton of fights for Brave, Brave and NFC and like M1. Who was I going to pick? Royval versus Cop. I was going to pick Royval, just due to volume. Over 5 rounds. This fight's completely different though. Like Asam Mavayev is a dude that he's got good power and he'll go for it, but like he really uses his striking just to kind of like set up his grappling. He wants you to cover up, then he'll shoot singles. Manal Cobb's problem is Asam Mavayev's a good wrestler and like that's what he likes to do. And I just don't know who to pick in this fight because I don't agree with the odds. I don't think Manal Cop should be that big of a favorite against a dude that like has a good wrestling game like Asam Mabayev. I'm gonna read this in 1 second, but I'm gonna put it up here. Asam Mabayev was supposed to be taking on Steve Erceg, who is not the power puncher, but like potentially a more put together boxer and a little more crafty of a puncher than Manal Cop, but not the blistering athletic freak that Manal Cop is. I'm gonna take a flyer on Asam Mabayev to, I don't know, either Manal Cop is gonna come out and just try to fucking storm the gates on this dude, or it could potentially look like the Muhammad Makayev fight. The problem for Cop though is like Asam Mabayev won't do what Muhammad Makayev did. Like he will go out there and try to wrestle. I don't trust either one. Like I don't trust Manal Cop's 5-round cardio really either. Unless it's like at an extremely tepid pace. This fight could be really bad or really fucking cool. And that's just up to Manal Cop. I think Asam Mabayev is gonna have the same fight either way. So I'm gonna pick a dude that like sticks to a game plan and fights the same way all the time, compared to a dude that just doesn't fight the same way all the time, who is probably more skilled. But I mean, it's a literal coin flip anytime you pick a Manal Cop fight. So give me Asam Mabayev as the underdog to, have like 2 gross striking rounds with Manal Cop and then out grapple him. Yeah, exactly, Eric. He can be gun shy. Can I please ask the UFC to book strongman competition winners against each other at open weight. Also to change the rules to those one F to those of one FC. Yeah, one FC. I don't know. They've got their own problems. Yeah, cop can be gun shy. I'm gonna try to do this live more. So if you guys like the live thing, let me know. I'm gonna try to do this more. Hopefully, more people will be involved next time. I'm gonna try to do this probably the same time next week. We've got better cards coming up in the future too. I know this weekend's card. If you got stuff to do on Saturday, or you need to get some brownie points with the wife, take the kids to the park, go fishing, do what I like to do. Go take the wife out for like a lunch date. Go do something cool. Um, this isn't the best card, but that's the show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy the fights.